having a regular 9 to 5 job, or, the benefits or all those things, they're very attractive. They're very, and I think they can lure some people into something that feels safe, and into something where they feel like, oh, I'm doing this, it's for the best for my family. Not really thinking about it, is it best for them? And in many ways, I honestly find that being an entrepreneur is really what's best for my family. I love the freedom I have when my daughter gets sick, or when something happens, that I can be there for her, that I can.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super excited to have you here with us today because I am here with my most amazing guest, Diana. Diana, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, Michelle. I'm so excited to be with you.
So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Yeah, I help women in business who have a lot on their plates to achieve their goals in business without giving up the quality of life and the lifestyle that they really want. I think a lot of times women feel like they're juggling the family and their work and all of the other passions and interests that they have. And sometimes the things that make them end up going by the wayside. And I help them to hold on to the things that are their biggest priorities without giving up the ambitions that they have for their own business.
Love it. So how did you get into helping women as your career choice?
I've found that women tend to have some of the similar challenges that I myself have faced in life and in business. I find that a lot of times we have our own really unique experiences with burnout, with people pleasing, with our own health, that caused me to really want to focus on women, because I found that some of these challenges, it's not that they're not things that men experience as well, but my heart is in helping other women. I raise a young daughter. I'm a single mom, and I think women rock. I think women run the world, and we have this creative power in so many in so many nuances that I think is just really extraordinary. And I also see a lot of women who give up on themselves, or give up parts of themselves, and think that they have to. And I believe that there's really no greater way to shape the next generation of women and leaders overall than by empowering today's women to lead by example, do things that they would be proud of, that they know that they'd be proud for their children to follow. So, yeah.
Nice. I love it. So it sounds like you had a few issues of your own along the way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I am absolutely proud to be an international speaker and author, a life coach, to have achieved my dream of living here in Hawaii, to have my daughter who's super happy and healthy. But, there were a lot of bumps along the way. As much as I had wanted to start my own business for years, I kept like skirting around it. I was helping other people with their businesses, but not wanting to start my own. And, there was so much fear all along the journey, so many challenges along the journey. And, but every time I hit a challenge, I always look at it as this opportunity to transform. So I call those challenging situations because I believe that, we can look at them like a pile of something that stinks, or we can look at them like manure. And manure is highly potent, like nutrient dense soil which is perfect for new growth, and I believe that, like, when we look at our challenges as these opportunities to spark new growth, to allow us to accelerate our growth, our experience of them changes. So many of us, when we have something that is, stinky, we try to cover it up with potpourri, right? We act like it's not there. Sometimes we're shoving it in the corner. Sometimes we're just like trying to mask up the smell, but it never actually goes away. And when we actually know how to transform it, what happens is it becomes something of a higher nature. It actually contributes to even more growth. It evolves, it decomposes, it becomes something new, something with which we couldn't have achieved what we've achieved now without it. So that's my take on challenges that we face, and how I look at every challenge that I face even today, or that that I work with through my clients.
Nice. So when it comes to particularly women starting their own businesses, what do you think is stopping them?
I think men have more resilience for rejection from a young age. I think men are more men have more opportunities to ask and hear the word no, and have, as a result, less of a challenge around hearing it. They have maybe more of a thick skin, right? The traditional gender roles are such that, like, men tend to ask women out versus women asking men out, which means that men get a whole lot of no's from a, they have much more experience hearing no, and women have less. And no is not a word that many women feel is comfortable hearing. We're in many ways conditioned, again, by what we see our mothers do, or what we see our other women around us do, to say yes, or to try to make things work for other people. We look for ways to make other people happy, to also serve others and not just ourselves. And I think that's a great altruistic thing that many women tend to have, but at the same time, I think it comes at a disadvantage for us as well, because it leads many women to, almost like I was saying, forget their own desires, what they care about. Leads to a lot of poor boundary setting or people pleasing. And when we sacrifice ourselves to please other people, we're not pleasing anybody.
Okay. So to people who don't either know about the business world or just want to play devil's advocate, why do you think it's so important that people have the ability to be able to hear the word no and not take it personally and can slough it off?
I think the path to business success is paved with a whole lot of no's. It's paved with a whole lot of failure. It's paved with a whole lot of challenges. And I think that for us, there's a lot about working for somebody else that feels a lot more comfortable, right? There's a lot about like I was talking to a client a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how, like, somebody who's meant for entrepreneurship, we're just built different. We, I kind of liken it to animals, right? Like at our base, we are animals. Some animals, they really do better in a cage. They do better at a zoo where they have, tons of people looking after them, feeding them, making sure that they get their however many meals that they need a day, getting all their shots. There's no predators out there. They like that consistency and that that reliability and that safety. And I think some of us at the same time are meant to be wild. We're meant to be out there, even if it means that we don't know where our next meal is, or even if that means that there's a predator out there. Like, that is for some of us, our true nature. And I think that sometimes that safety of having a regular 9 to 5 job, or the benefits, or all those things, they're very attractive. They're very and I think they can lure some people into something that feels safe, and into something where they feel like, oh, I'm doing this, it's for the best for my family, not really thinking about it, is it best for them? And in many ways, I honestly find that being an entrepreneur is really what's best for my family. I love the freedom I have when my daughter gets sick, or when something happens, that I can be there for her, that I can shift my entire schedule to prioritize her needs. That's something that, like, for me, is just like such a huge value. And both my parents were entrepreneurs, and I saw that if something happened, they could be there at the drop of a hat. They wanted to go on vacation, they could do that. They had the freedom. And I remember seeing that freedom as a child and being like, I want that.
I love it. I have never heard anybody describe corporate life as living in a zoo, and I love it.
Yeah, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I just that some of us do better in the cage.
Well, and it's totally true. And I think it's a great analogy in that I think it might offend some people, and then it'll open up their eyes to go, oh, and that actually is a very accurate description of it, because, the corporate world really does protect people from a lot of the outside elements of having to stand on their own and speak their voice, and all the consequences that come with that when you're not allowed to do that, and you're shunned for doing that. It makes it a very entertaining analogy, and it's going to make a great conversation going forward. I love it. It was awesome. So in business too, I think there's an element that people don't understand, is that there's a huge difference between promoting a company and promoting themselves. And when they go out there and they have to promote themselves, that all of a sudden immense amounts of terror can come over them, and they're going like, how, why is this so different? I was so good at this in the company, and now all of a sudden it's, I go to open my mouth and I can't speak. One, what's your take on that, and how does that happen, evolve, and how do you get through it?
Yeah, I think that absolutely this is something that women deal with, right? It's so much easier to promote somebody else. It's so much easier to do some of the promotional work when it comes to it's for somebody else versus for ourselves. And I think that's an opportunity for us to look deeper into our own beliefs. Like why is that? Right? Why is it so much easier to promote it could even be the same product, right? Like a lot of times women will start their own company, which I also just think is like the greatest, like most bold move of taking control of your future. But a lot of times when they're doing that, they, even if they're doing some of the same work, they find it harder to do it for themselves. There's this feeling that, oh, talking about myself is selfish, right? Promoting myself is selfish. When really in this, it's us serving people. It's about the service. And I think sometimes that gets lost when we look at promotion as something that we're doing to get something. I think that there's an opportunity for us to kind of shift our mindset around there's nothing wrong with us receiving benefit. There's nothing wrong with us thriving as a result of serving other people. The better that we serve other people, the more that other people can benefit from our service, the more that other people's lives can be changed, the more that we're making good in the world. So while it can feel selfish, and I definitely get it, again, I think that leads back to some of the beliefs that we as women tend to, it's interesting because I don't even think that it's necessarily even always something that was told to us, right? It's things we see through the media. It's things we see through other examples of women. It's things we see through our parents, that women do certain things that men don't. And I think that there's space for us to really question, why is that? Why is it whenever we see situations like that, I always say, okay, well, everything is energy. If everything is energy, everything is really the same. So why am I treating these two things differently? Why am I treating my own business differently from if I were promoting this for somebody else's business? And then when you start to rationalize there, you can start to see what are the limiting beliefs? What are the beliefs that I have about my own business versus the beliefs that I have about somebody else's business? What are the beliefs I have about promoting myself versus promoting someone else? And as we start to look at that, we can start to dissect, like, why is it then that I'm having less success in my own business versus when I was doing this for somebody else? And it does, I believe, lead back to the ways that the beliefs that we ourselves have, the beliefs that oftentimes we have subconsciously, and the things that we absorbed from our environment.
Absolutely. I find it particularly interesting watching news and the media now. I've never really watched them, but now I've started to watch them just to see, why, how, where. And some of the things that people say on media right now, I find fathomable in that I would never say that out loud to anyone. And I can't believe they're doing it on national television, knowing that they are interviewing somebody else and asking them these questions. And the one that strikes me the most odd is, why did you choose those shoes? I'm like, seriously? Did you just ask? Like, do you have any idea who this person is? And you're asking them why they chose their shoes. I could understand if it was a model and they were, or a fashion designer and they were interviewing. No, it's politicians, it's Olympians, it's people of our side. And I've heard it asked, in all sorts of arenas. I'm like, is this like the question of the day? How does that happen? And they would never ask it of men.
Yes.
And then you got to wonder, like, well, why? Why do they ask different questions of men and women? And how do they not think that that's going to affect people that are watching this?
Yeah, you're so right. There's so many ways, just simple ways, even like, why did you choose your shoes? Where women and men are treated differently, where our experiences are different. And it's why I really like focusing with women, because I obviously have more experience as a woman. I've experienced burnout multiple times. Really only stopped what I was doing to really look and start my coaching business eventually, because I was so sick. I was literally like, I was working as a chef. I was highly successful. I was in the middle of opening 9 restaurants in 2 states on the same day. The opening day, I wake up, I'm in a hotel room in DC, and I notice a ton of hair on my pillow, on my bed pillow. I look in the mirror, I have a huge bald spot here, about the size of a quarter. And I'm like, on the side of my head here. And I do what a lot of women do, I think, like in many ways every single day, where like we have something that's clearly not right. We see something not right within us, around us. And instead of taking a moment to really take care of what's going on with us, I brushed it right aside, and I took care of those 9 openings, or those 2, those openings, right? And I think that so many times that's what we women do. We put other people's needs in front of our own. And we're conditioned to do that. We're conditioned to make decisions certain ways, right? Like even thinking about our shoes, like it does sound ridiculous to ask a man about his shoes, but why? Right? Like
Right?
probably because he didn't think very much about them, right?
Probably because he didn't pick them up.
Yeah, which then begs the question, like, well, then why would the woman pick out her shoes, right? Or why would she care so much about her shoes? And I think it just leads you to start to ask those sort of questions of like, wow, like we really are raised and conditioned in very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, since then, obviously, like, my hair's grown back. I make a huge point as a mom, I'm a single mom, of how I raise my daughter. She's a year and 3 months right now. So I don't think that there's a whole lot that she gets on the fully conscious level. But even when it comes to eating, I won't feed her first. I feed myself first. And I don't mean like, she has to watch me eat a whole meal and starve while I'm eating, but I will make sure she sees me feed myself. I will make sure that she sees me do my self-care, that she knows that I'm still taking showers. I'm still going to take care of myself, even if that means that she cries for a couple minutes. Like I want her to see her mother took care of herself first, so that I could be the person I want to be and take care of her as fully as I believe that she deserves. But if I'm just continually giving to her, making sure that she looks cute when I'm not looking so fresh, like I'm basically teaching her that that's okay. I'm teaching her that when she's older, that's what she should be doing. And I take that very, very seriously. So it's why as a mom, even doing it solo, I'm very much about showing my daughter, no, I come first. If it's an emergency, like absolutely, you come first. But if it comes to our basic needs and there's no harm put upon you with me putting myself first, I come first.
Well, and ironically, especially in an emergency situation, it really is you first.
Oh, actually,
because you can't,
yeah.
you can't help her if you're not doing you first. Yeah, and I think it's a controversial conversation because people are so used to being doing things in the way they've always done it, and they look around and go, oh, okay, everybody does it, we have to operate in this manner in order to be safe and survive on the planet. And when you say no, you don't actually, this is not primal, this is not instinctual, this is a condition that has been placed on us, and it's not a very good one. I love those conversations, because when we start to look at, like, why do I feed my kids first? And why do I kind of sneak food in and not get it, at the table with everybody else? And why do, and we start to question all of these things that are quote unquote normal and taught and enforced, and going like, no, that's not healthy. It's not the way you create success. It's not the way it should be. So I love that.
Yeah, I think there's like there's a balance between selfish and selfless, right? And I think that a lot of times women are conditioned in different ways to lean towards the selfless. So I'm not saying be like fully selfish, like all absorbed in yourself and, like don't care about anybody else. But if you have this leaning towards selflessness, giving to other people before you give to yourself, prioritizing other people's needs before your own, there's this space for you to come back to greater balance by experiencing a little bit more of that priority of self. There's nothing wrong with taking care of ourselves. They often say, right, like self-care isn't selfish. And I think that that's right. Like you said, right, especially in an emergency situation. I've actually been in that situation where I had to use an emergency mask. I was on a plane where a window in the cockpit shattered and we had to make an emergency landing, and the emergency masks came down. This was before I was pregnant. And I remember like, okay, I know I'm supposed to put my mask on first, but that desire to help everybody else put their mask on, I could feel it. I like it. It was I'm very glad that they make those announcements so many times. I'm sure if there's a woman on who's ever experienced that, like the tendency to want to help everybody else is absolutely there. And I had to be very conscious about, okay, yeah, this is the right thing. I put my mask on first, and then I can help everybody else. I can show the other people who don't know how to put their mask on how to do it, and then I can calm other people down. But I'm not going to be able to do it for very long if I don't put my own mask on.
Exactly. And therein lies the conundrum. It's really easy to see other people's problems and be able to help them with it. But if we're not recognizing our own first and see it, the longevity just isn't there for sure. Awesome. I'm loving this conversation. In a minute, I'm going to ask you about a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before I do that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well. If that scares the out of you, check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I am super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Yeah. So when I first met Tiffany, I remember she told me this story about her life, like this turning point in her life. That she had just experienced, and she didn't see it as a turning point. She looked at it to me as like this situation, right? So she was talking about this one night at work, everybody else is gone, and she is in the kitchen and she's packing these macaron boxes by herself. She sent everybody else away. She has all these boxes that she needs to pack by herself. And she just had all this resentment about how she was doing it all alone. Her family was at home. Her daughter was home. She was here doing it by herself. And, and she was very dissatisfied with the work that she was doing. It felt very unfulfilling. She was really angry and resentful that she felt like she was the only one who cared enough to do this work by herself. And that was why she was doing it late at night while her family was all together and everybody else was home. And I kind of checked her on it. I was like, okay, well, who sent the people home? Me, they didn't need to be there. They, it was okay. There weren't that many boxes. I just had to stay for an extra 2 hours. And I was like, okay, who made the choice to be there? Oh, me, and I was like, well, why couldn't anybody else have helped? Right? They just didn't need to. And I'm like, look, like there's a degree to which you are creating this situation. You had an opportunity for help. You let go of it. Why is that? And as we started to dive deeper into why is it that she was giving to everybody else and not to herself? Why was it that she had to be the one who took care of all these things or else it wouldn't get done properly? She started to realize like, wow, this is like a larger pattern, right? This isn't just about that one moment at work. She started to see it in her family life. She started to see it with her parents. She started to see it with her health, with the way that when she would get home, she needed a couple beers to unwind because she was so frustrated. Through the course of our work, she started to I really started to work with her on asking those kind of questions of, well, what do you want? What is it that lights you up? And as she started to answer those questions, of course, she felt a little selfish. No, it shouldn't just be all about me. And I was like, well, what about your daughter? What are you teaching her about work? And as she started to see those pieces and realize like, wow, achieving my dream, pursuing what I care the most about is not just about me. It's about showing my daughter that this possibility is for her as well, that there's something important about that. She ended up being able to redesign her quality of life so that she had time with her daughter, completely changed their relationship where she saw her daughter, even her development changing, where she was developing even stronger or even better and faster. She didn't need the drinks at the end of the day anymore. She was setting better boundaries at work and not feeling guilty about it. And as a result, like she actually found that she ended up changing her path, doing a little bit more teaching in schools, in culinary schools, and implementing one of the systems that well, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I created this system and I taught it to her because, a lot of times the women I work with, they don't have a lot of time. So I've created this 15-minute system for them to work on their dreams every single day in a really simple way that allows for them to make continual progress, and over time just allows them to create so much more than they knew that they'd be able to create. And she took the first part of this, which the first step of my system is gratitude. And she actually applied this with her students. So as she applied this with her students, she would ask them every single day, what are you grateful for? What are you proud of, right? And her students would answer in the context of what they did in the class. Now, these were some of the same exact students in other classes, right? Like it wasn't just her class that they took many other classes. And these students would stay late to fix up boxes of treats that people were going to get, or they would volunteer to do more work, or they got even better grades. And so these same students who other teachers, she would hear them complain, oh, this person never shows up to class on time, this person never does this, they're so lazy. That those same exact students in her class had a completely different experience. She had ease getting her boxes filled. Her students were more engaged, they were doing better. And at the same time, because she was doing work that was more fulfilling, she was coming home feeling more fulfilled, able to spend more time with her family. And still to this day, like we remain like good friends. She's an amazing mom, and an amazing chef. And it's just wonderful to see how she's been able to change that people pleasing, that focus on everybody else and the resentment that she had into something where she's able to pour into other people, amplify their experiences, and help them get even better results.
Nice. I love it. Well, I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
Yeah. So I have something on my website. My website is savorlifewithdiana.com. That's SAVOR. So just like food, we savor our food. I believe that we deserve to savor our life with Diana.com. I have this freebie on there. It's called the Vault. And in there, I give away free recipes. I give tools for accelerating your business. I give some healing stuff away for free. Basically, like all the things I used to give away just in my newsletter, and like people would get it like one time. I was like, I don't want this to just go away. I want these resources to be available to people forever. So if you go to the Vault and you sign up, you'll be able to get access to them for forever. You can get anything that you want, whether it's stuff for moms, there's stuff for business owners, there's stuff for, recipes that are simple, because I, as a former chef, I really love to help people like make really delicious food, but I get it. You don't have time to spend 12 hours in the kitchen in a day. And so I use a lot of those same techniques I learned in Michelin starred restaurants to help people elevate their food. And I also have some resources as well that touch upon that system that I was showing, the 15-minute system. If anyone's interested in that, I have my Manifest Your Dreams journal. You can find it on Amazon. And yeah, look up my name. That's the easiest way, Diana Bejasa, Bejasa, to get that. But yeah, like, I that is how to reach me. But I find also that, like, I never ever imagined, Michelle, that I would be an author, right? And I never imagined that I would be doing this work living in Hawaii. I'm originally from New York. I went to business school, worked on Wall Street, had worked as a chef. But when I got really sick, when I was burned out, I realized that there were so many places, just like my client had realized, my client Tiffany. I realized there were so many places where I had these goals and dreams, and I wasn't pursuing them for myself. It was like I kept trying, but no matter what steps I was taking, I wasn't making the progress that I wanted. And I was like, all these things that have held me back in the past, this belief that I can't start my business, the struggle that I've had with my weight, I want all of this gone. I want to change all of this. I don't just want to move to Hawaii and repeat these same exact patterns. I want to live a completely different life. And that was what led me down this coaching journey and opened me up to experiences I never experienced. I'm a super introverted math nerd. I never thought I would be an international speaker. I never thought I would create the Manifest Your Dreams journal. But what I found is that as I continue to pursue what gives me life, what I would love, my own dreams, I've had this opportunity to like blow my mind over and over and over again in terms of what my life can look like and what I can achieve. And I just hope, with all hope, that I get to inspire my daughter to do the same.
Nice. I love it. We will, of course, have all of Diana's links in the show notes. So go ahead and scroll down, click on the links, open up in a new browser, because we're not done yet. So, Diana, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were a special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I love that question. Special kind of crazy enough is definitely a great way to describe.
Right?
Yeah, somebody who chooses to be an entrepreneur. I think I mentioned it a little earlier, but when I was a little girl and I could see my parents, I saw the challenges that they had and overcame, and I saw the freedom that overcoming those challenges brought them. And me as a little girl, I didn't care too much about the challenges, but seeing them overcome them definitely helped me know I could do it. Seeing them live the life of freedom, where they could travel when they wanted, where they could be there for their family when they needed, that was like, I want that. And so I feel like my parents almost instilled it in me, because they showed me the entrepreneurial journey, and through their hardships, I saw where they ended up, and I was like, if they can do it, I can do it too.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Any last words for our peeps?
If you know anybody else who can do it and you feel that dream of wanting to do it for yourself, whether they're your parents or just another entrepreneur that you admire, if they can do it, you can do it too.
Thank you again for your time, Diana. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
Thanks, Michelle.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention. You do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap. They offer full implementation as well, if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.